Hello fight fans, today's MMA news is wild and honestly a little confusing. We've got Arman offering to buy Ilia Toporia's house on Twitter, then talking about dropping to 145 to fight Volkanovski, Paddy Pimblett finally reacting to the Gaethje loss, Ian Garry giving serious respect to Islam Makhachev, and now fans debating whether Islam versus Kamaru Usman even makes sense anymore. Let's start with Arman Sarukian. On social media, Arman joked that he would buy Ilia Toporia's house if Ilia agrees to fight him next. Obviously, this isn't about real estate. This is Arman understanding something important about the UFC. Being the most skilled contender isn't always enough. You also need people talking about you. So Arman is doing what smart fighters do, creating moments, forcing narratives and keeping himself visible. Whether you think it's funny or corny, it worked because suddenly Arman's name is everywhere again. Then Arman added fuel to the fire. He spoke about the possibility of moving down to featherweight, and naturally the name that came up was Alexander Volkanovski. Now let's be honest, 145 is a brutal weight cut. But this tells us something. Arman feels blocked at lightweight, and when fighters feel stuck, they start looking for pressure points. A fight with Volk is extremely risky, but it's also massive. Elite wrestling versus elite experience. Pressure versus composure. That's a real fight, not fantasy talk. Now let's talk about Paddy Pimblett. After losing to Justin Gaethje, Paddy came out and said something simple. No excuses, the better man won, back to the gym. And honestly, respect, because he could have blamed weight cuts, injuries or circumstances. But the truth is this, Paddy showed heart, he showed toughness, but at elite level, toughness alone doesn't win you championships. If Paddy wants to stay in real title conversations, his defense and fundamentals must improve. At the top, mistakes don't get forgiven, they get punished immediately. Now this is where things get really interesting. Ian Machado Garry recently spoke about Islam Makhachev and gave him full respect, calling him the best in the world and saying that if he ever fights Islam, there would be no excuses, and that matters because Ian isn't speaking as an undefeated prospect anymore. He's speaking as someone who's already been tested. He lost to Shavkat Rakhmonov, learned from it, and instead of taking a step back, he's still aiming straight at the top.
Islam Makhachev is one of the greatest fighters walking the planet Earth right now. The #1 pound-for-pound fighter on the planet, a two-weight world champion, former Sambo world and European champion. He's absolutely unbelievable at what he does. He is one of the most dangerous men walking the planet right now. When you beat Islam, it changes the way everyone in the world thinks about you, and I'm gonna do it.
At the same time, there's been growing talk online about Islam Makhachev fighting Kamaru Usman. But let's be very clear here, the UFC has not officially announced or confirmed this fight. Most of this conversation seems to be coming from management because both Islam and Usman are represented by Ali Abdelaziz, who has openly mentioned possible matchups. There was also that backstage moment that got fans talking, but right now this is discussion, not a booking. And honestly, I don't think Islam versus Kamaru Usman makes sense anymore. Usman is a legend, no doubt, one of the greatest welterweights ever, but he's not in his prime now. The mileage is there, the wars are there. Watching Islam fight a past prime Usman doesn't push the division forward. For me, the fight that actually makes sense is Islam Makhachev versus Ian Garry. Ian worked his way back after the Shavkat loss. He stayed active, he stayed hungry. That fight represents the future, not the past, because if Islam beats a declining legend and then decides to retire, the division gains nothing. No new star, no passing of the torch, just a closed chapter. And that's not how championships should move forward. Finally, Dillashaw dropped one of the spiciest takes of the week. He said Khamzat Chimaev would run through Alex Pereira. That's a bold statement, but stylistically you understand why people say it. Pereira is terrifying on the feet, but if Khamzat gets his hands locked, chains takedowns and keep pressure high, that becomes very dangerous situation. Is it guaranteed? No, but it's a matchup that would test Pereira in ways he hasn't fully faced yet.
Khamzat sitting at champ in the middleweight division, Alex Pereira sitting at champ in the light heavyweight division. Do we see them fight each other at the White House?
I hope not.
Why?
Because Khamzat would run through Alex Pereira. Stylistically, he
Alex Pereira's not
runs
stuffing
through.
any of those takedowns?
You can't.
No, you can't.
Not.
He ain't sprawling on Khamzat.
He can try.
He ain't hitting him with a quick sprawl.
You could try.
Wow.
So that's where MMA stands right now. Arman creating chaos online, Paddy rebuilding, Ian pushing himself into title conversations, Usman's legacy being debated, and Khamzat looming over everyone. Now, I want to know your opinion. Does Islam versus Ian Garry makes more sense than Islam versus Usman? And should Arman actually try 145 or stop chasing narratives? Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. This is Ground and Pound MMA signing off. Peace!